To have Cory Arcangel, noted artist, joining us today. In fact, Cory is not only an artist, he is an artist, a wannabe YouTuber, computer programmer, um, composer, and what else did I miss, Cory? I mean, a
Um,
few other website maker,
yeah,
fashion designer,
fashion designer, vibe coder.
vibe coder. Yeah, so um, Corey's well known for, a body of work that since the early 2000s has, kind of cut across computer programming, music, and culture. Just kind of, I would say, like deconstructing and re-examining a number of the ways that we produce and consume culture. And of course, one of his noted projects, Mario Clouds, was in the Whitney Biennial in 2003. It's something he's, probably still well known for this day, where he took the cartridge from Super Mario Brothers and reprogrammed it so that nothing was displayed except for the cloud background. And so you had a Nintendo cartridge sitting in front of you in the room with blue sky and white clouds scrolling slowly in front of it. That was done with the Beige Programming Ensemble, I believe, and it was a kind of early example of consumer computer hacking presented in installation and art context that also referred to pop culture and in a way to our relationship with nature and how that was being reframed. Oh, we have someone that attended that Whitney show. Epic. Cory and I got to know each other because I invited him for a kind of unofficial artist residency at my apartment in Liverpool in about 2003 or four. He did a couple of projects with us at Fact Liverpool back then, and a little show in the Fact Media Lounge, and as part of the Liverpool Biennial, which was really fun. And we would sit in my internet surfing room, stretch the Ethernet cable down the hallway and plug in, and we would order takeout pizza from the place around the corner, and those were good times. Uh,
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot has changed since then, and today Corey's going to be sharing with us a number of works that have been selected for him by a generative system that selects artworks at random from his back catalog, which he then has to tell us about. It's kind of like a karaoke version of an artist talk. Um, how many works are you going to talk about, Corey?
The website was set up to do 20, and I figured we could just do 20. So I think if we have 30 minutes, it's a minute and a half per work. It's probably okay, I think.
All right, I'm excited.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Thank you
Should
for
we
the
get
intro Thanks for the introduction. Are you handing it over to me?
I'm handing it over. Take it away, Corey.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Rhizome. Hey again, Mark and Artworld for inviting me on this podcast. Oh, hey, John. I know a lot of you all. Thanks all for showing up. Um, uh, a lot has changed since 2004 when I lived with you in Liverpool, Michael, but I did want to just add that um, I think Ladytron just released a new record and it's supposed to be really great. And and it reminded me of those days because, of course, they were there then when we were there. Okay, so as discussed, I am here. Let me load up my screen, and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go into my browser. How does that look? Does it like come through for you all? Michael, can you give me okay, we got some thumbs up. Okay. Um, so yeah, so I wrote here, let me start the timer. I'm told I'm supposed to go for a half hour. So, one, two, three, So I wrote this tool last year before I did an artist talk at the Art Institute of Chicago, um, because well, let me not start yet. Because I always would have trouble deciding what works to talk about in these artist lectures, and it would as I was like trying to decide the 10 or 15 works to talk about, I would always spiral into these kind of, it would always, like self-doubt, like all my kind of issues with my own work were always kind of dredged up every time I had to do one of these lectures. So I decided at some point, oh, what if I just automated the process? Then I wouldn't have to go through this kind of like, um, self-discovery every time I had to do one of these. So I wrote this little tool. It just goes through my the database which runs my website, which is here. which is all on GitHub. And so these are all the works that are listed on my website, and it picks 20 randomly, and those are the things that I'll talk about. I'm going to start timing now. And okay, so the way I want to do it, I want to do it on the like rock, scissors, paper. So I'm going to do it rock, scissors, paper, shoot. Okay, here we go. Rock, scissors, paper, shoot. Okay, we're in. Are we ready? Now, it also has like an automatic open tabs, but that's too much for me. But I'm gonna go. I do also want to say it was vibe coded, but this was last year before I don't know if I want to my jury's still out about vibe coding. So I don't want to say that what's the word I'm looking for? I'm endorsing vibe coding, but I have to be honest. Are we ready? Okay. Oh, and the works are all out of order as well. Okay, so the first one we have here is a work called Timeless Standards from 2012. So this particular work is it's like a UV inkjet on a Comtex, like a kind of flat white board, and it is a Lacoste shirt, which was scanned and then watermarked and then printed on the shirt. And so Lacoste at the time, they had done this weird series of shirts that were like obviously inspired by artists, but it wasn't, the artists' names weren't like really printed on them. And this is one of the shirts that was a kind of like Mondrian shirt. So I did a whole kind of series of these timeless standards scans. And actually, if I can go a little bit off of here, I think image is I had a show in Paris in 2000 and God knows when, 2010, 11, 2010. You can see three of them here. So this is the one that was kind of Lichtenstein. This was, I think, another type of Lichtenstein. And so I've been screwing with these kind of scan shirts for for 15 years at this point. So that's Timeless Standards 2012. Carlos Acutis sitting in a room 2024. This is an image I made. So this is a digital image which was generated. I can't remember what like AI system generated it. It might have been ChatGPT. And it's who of the then um, pre-Saint Carlos Acutis. So Carlos Acutis was this Italian teenager who passed very young, and he was like texting, spreading the word of God like through cell phone text, since he was like an early, how do I explain it? Uh, he, well, anyway, you have to go to the end of the story is that um, the he was sainted recently. And so this is part of a project uh, for a show that I co-curated with Giovanni Carmine at the Kunsthal St. Gallen called All I Eat in a Day. And All I Eat in a Day was a group show um, basically about all the type of uh, pressures that are many of the kind of like pressures that are being forced upon art today, like immersive experiences, crypto, and we were trying to kind of um, curate a show that played with all of those kind of interesting pressures. And Carlo Acutis, the reason I'm mentioning all this, Carlo Acutis was the patron saint of that show. And if you Google Carlo Acutis, Saint Carlo Acutis now, you there he is. So, an English-born Catholic teenager known for his devotion to the Eucharist and his use of digital media to promote the Catholic Church. Okay, so that's Carlos Acutis, Citizen in a Room, Jay-Z Blue. This is a project that I did with a color called Jay-Z Blue. This is 2011. This is actually I just got the paint. And so Jay-Z has his own blue color. It's called Jay-Z Blue, and I licensed the color from Jay-Z's people, and I used it in different ways in my show at the Whitney Museum in 2011. Here's a wall that was painted Jay-Z Blue, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, there was also the stanchions were also painted Jay-Z Blue. Cool. The AUD MCR is Underground Dance Music Collection of Recorded Sound. So this is it's actually, I think, 835 trance records in a MARC formatted database. So this record collection I bought in whole from a retired trance DJ, the DJ Joshua Ryan. And I worked with a giant team at my studio to spend a couple years, and we archived these records kind of professionally in the kind of MARC record format. And there should actually be a website of it here. Actually, I should actually. So if you all have questions, let's save them to the end because I realize there could be people putting questions in the chat, but I can get to them at the end. So here is the website. Hold on, I've got this like Zoom window. Okay. Here, and if you click on each. And it was just shown in Berlin, actually, at the Michel Majerus estate in the show that was done for the project me and Michael and Dragon worked on, which is, I'll put a shout out here. Let's Play Majerus G3, which I encourage you all to go on YouTube to check out. Okay, more details. How am I doing for time? I'm doing okay. What is this one? Okay. So this is a work that requires a high-end sports car. It could be a Mercedes or a Ferrari, and loose candy. It could be Tic Tacs, whatever, whatever. And the work is basically a handful of these loose candies are thrown under the seat of this car. And this picture here is from a performance that was done last year in my home city of Stavanger, Norway. So I found this Ferrari and I threw some Tic Tacs under. Actually, it wasn't Tic Tacs for Stavanger. It was something called Fisherman's Friend, which is the kind of like Tic Tacs of Southwest Norway. And we threw them under the seat, and the Ferrari just drove around the neighborhood once, and that was the performance. And these pictures here are from the same piece done, I think like 10 years earlier at Mocha, LA. In there, these are Tic Tacs under the seat of this Mercedes. There we are. So that's called More Details. Arts. Oh, wow. Okay, this is a deep cut. Art since the summer of 69, according to the internet. So this is a performance I did a few times with Hannah Mugas, who is now my wife, but then was my partner. And basically, we would surf YouTube and we would search for artist last names, and we would kind of click on the most random results that we could find. And it was like in those years, there was really no contemporary art material at all on YouTube. So it made for like this really great screening because if you searched for like, Bruce Nauman, it would be like Bruce Nauman, a plumber in like, Iowa or something. So yeah, I hadn't thought about this one in a long time. Soul Cycle. Yeah, so it is inkjet on canvas from 2017. So this is a little bit, I showed you earlier a timeless standards print. That kind of idea I kept doing over and over again because I kept feeling like I was like, the next one, the next one. And so they got bigger, they got more minimal, and you can see here. So they're getting more painting like and getting better in terms of composition and things like that. Yeah, this one isn't so bad. Um, okay. Blah, 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 blah. Photoshop. long title here, 2015. Okay. So this is a carpet I made for a show in Bergamo in 2015. And the show was in, I can't remember what I know of, I don't remember what the space is used for now, but I know it's the oldest municipal space in Bergamo. So the oldest kind of government adjacent space. And the Photoshop, the design you see here comes from just the default gradients in Photoshop. So I have a long series that I've done using just the default patterns built into Photoshop. And this was like a solo show that I did. And when I do a show, I always start backwards. I always start from the space first and then kind of decide what works should be. And here, obviously, the space was the kind of star, and I wanted to uh, do a kind of intervention that highlighted the space. We also couldn't hang anything on the walls because of various protections. So the works in this show were this series of pool noodle sculptures that I did, and they were able just to lean against the wall. Uh, yeah, here's, I think, more pictures from that show. Yeah, okay. NKE. Yeah, okay. It's a little heavy on this stuff, but let's go. So this is from 2020. So this is 10 years after some of those timeless standards. And here it's a UV print on IKEA table. So at some point, pretty much after I moved to Scandinavia, I started using IKEA tabletops as surfaces to print on because they were just the easiest to get a hold of, and they were super cheap and flat and really good printing surfaces. And so this is like a scan of a Nike, I think, yeah, I think sweatpants, and then just printed on for IKEA tabletops. And it was shown as a part of this presentation here at Frieze with Green Naftali. Cool. All right, the Warhol Files, 2014. Um, this is an essay about another project I did, which was a project from, yeah, I think it was 2011 to 2014, where I worked with a bunch of different organizations, the Carnegie Computer Club, the Carnegie Museum of Art, the Andy Warhol Museum, and the Frank Ratchey Studio for Creative Inquiry, where we all worked together to kind of uncover the Amiga work that Andy Warhol did on his Amiga computer. So to make a long story short, um, I did a show at the Carnegie Museum, and when I was touring Pittsburgh, I got a meeting at the Andy Warhol Museum, and I asked them, I know Warhol had an Amiga, whatever happened to it? And they said, we got it, and we've never actually looked at the discs. And so that set me on a path of working with them and these teams of computer researchers and conservators to eventually look at the disks. And we found a bunch of files, and you could just, if you just type in Andy Warhol Amiga, they're all like this file here. They're all public now. This file here, really cool, kind of strange things that he made on the Amiga. Yeah, here's four of them together. And the Warhol Files is an essay I wrote about it for Art Forum, and that's my kind of, if you want to know about the project, the essay is really a good place where I put down all my thoughts. Okay, Smiley, 2019. What is this one? Okay, so Smiley, it's from, oh, look here, it's here on YouTube. It's from a series of videos I made, which are bots that have been programmed to scroll down a single feed, either on Instagram or Twitter, and just like every post on that feed. And so here is one of Amazon. There we go. So in these years, I was doing a lot of work with bots. I was working with a program named Henry. I was working with a programmer and still am named Henry Van Dusen, and he was really brilliant at um, doing some of this stuff. So these are, I have like 20 or 30 of these, and they're usually about an hour long. And when I show them, I tend to also show them horizontal like this now. All right, as much as I would love to leave you with that, the show's gotta go on. All right, three stripes. Wow, very heavy on this stuff. So here's another one of these works. This is Inkjet on Canvas, 2018. Um, and at some point, I got started to work a lot with the three Adidas stripes um, because I think that um, it's the best. Uh, it's the most. I think like these three stripes on these black surfaces are like totally like you can't go outside without seeing somebody wearing something like this. So it's a recurring motive in my work because it's a recurring motive in life, I guess. Various books, various scents. Huge deep cut. I don't barely even remember this one, but this is various books with various scents. So it's exactly what it says. It's various books, and then I paired these books with different scents. So, for example, it's DNS and Bind Edition 4 by Paul Abbots and Cricket Lou with Someday by Justin Bieber. Another example is EARL, the autobiography of DMX, as told to Smokey DeFontaine, and Black Star by Avril Lavigne. So you kind of get the idea. This was actually found recently in my studio, and we had to throw out the whole box because all of the perfumes spilled over the box in the like 10, 15 years in between, and just it was a big giant mess. So doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, this was for a show I co-curated with Pierre Bismuth at Team Gallery. Okay, we gotta go quick. Um, because we have, let's see, what's my time? 12. Oh no, we got 10. Okay, we're doing okay. 10 minutes left. Sony FWD 42 PV1 plasma burn. This is yeah, so this is basically a video which is static, and the video is the wall text of the piece, and it is static on a screen, and it was on a plasma screen, and so basically it would burn the text into the screen of the that it was on while the piece was on and permanently damage the screen with the text. It would still work with LED screens today, but it would take a lot longer. And so I did a series of these screen burns. I did maybe six or seven of them. So this one was for a show I did at Ropec Gallery in Paris, 2008. What a misunderstanding. Oh yeah, this is I wonder if it still works. This is a Tumblr, which would it was a bot which would go to the New Yorker, caption this cartoon contest every month, and automatically post the caption "What a misunderstanding" to it. No, automatically add the caption and then smash them together and then post it to Tumblr. So it was like a kind of bot. Um, what a miss. Yeah. So let's see well, how long did it run for? Till 2014, yeah. So it ran for a couple years here. Archive is here. Cool. I had forgotten about that. Monograph. Yeah, so for whatever reason, monographs are listed as works in my database. It actually doesn't make any sense, but it's just how I do it. So this is my first monograph from 2006. It's nice. It's nice. Um yeah, I don't have much. It's for a show I did at the Migros Museum in 2005. I should say that, and we should probably show the show. We could go to their site. Yeah, so it was a show of these kind of landscape, these, I guess you would call them now immersive landscapes, but it was a show centered around mostly around my 8-bit work or my like kind of glitchy, pixely work from the early 2000s. Cool. Okay. Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, Glockenspiel Addendum, audio CDs, unlimited edition. Okay, this is a little complicated. We start with a composition I made called the Bruce Springsteen Born to Run Glockenspiel Addendum. It was a composition I wrote for Glockenspiel, and it was a composition of Glockenspiel parts for all the songs on Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run record, which did not already have Glockenspiel. So it was like 5 or 6 songs. Then at some point, I combined my Glockenspiel parts with his record and I burned a CD. And at the time, because the lengths of the songs were the same, all the kind of um, software would recognize these burned CDs as Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. And so then I started giving away these CDs as a way to kind of pollute the file sharing networks with this new version of Bruce Springsteen, which had a little bit more glockenspiel. So it's like a long and about way. It's a kind of like file sharing performance in a way, which starts as this stack of free CDs. And this is at the legendary, I should say, and or gallery run by Paul Slocum. And this was a two-person show I did with Olia Lalina and Dragon Espenschied. And Dragon, I should mention, was part of the project I did with Rhizome recently for Michelle Majerus. There's Olia. Okay, cool. Okay, 3 left. Max L. Don't. Ah, yeah, yeah. This is just a series of prints, and they are a scan of a Max L record, 12-inch record that they released to advertise their um, tape products, I guess. And it's just a little kind of conceptual joke about the different formats, A4 and then 12 and vinyl, that they're slightly different sizes and you have to scan something 4 times in order to fit uh, to get the whole image, you have to scan it 4 times. Football Lakes. This is a good one. This is a work from a series called Lakes, and lakes are these um, videos I made where a still image, which is on the top, is then reflected on the bottom. And I use this kind of classic Lake Java applet that was very popular on the web in the 1990s. Um, and I use this applet to do the effect to kind of images from, the 2017, 18, 19. And did a bunch of shows with this series of works that where they were treated kind of like paintings. And last but not least, 3-8 Alu plate. It doesn't even have an image. Let's go to the show that it's in. Ah, right. So this is a show that I did in 2022 at the Kunstverein in Hamburg. Um, I had downstairs and Michelle Majerus had upstairs. And here you could see some of those Instagram bot pieces, which are shown as these large projections. Here's some of the pieces that this my software has kicked up. These are um, laser cut, like raw industrial aluminum plates. And so at some point, um, I got into like instead of printing on these kind of surfaces, I started working a lot with metal, especially using the fabricators in the oil town I was living in at the time. And so these are, yeah, just basically Adidas stripes laser cut into these just raw aluminum panels. And on the back here is this is a life-size photograph of the yacht, the Flying Fox, which I had photographed at some point in the port of the town I was living in. Um, yeah.
Cory, that's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I I was thinking about your performance that you did for Rhizome back in 2008, continuous partial awareness, I think.
Ah, yeah, very similar.
It's a very similar kind of structure, actually.
Yeah.
And that you were kind of presenting like a bunch of perspective ideas, and I think the audience was supposed to kind of applaud or show approval of some of them, or was that, am I misremembering?
Yeah, I don't think I
There was no
thought,
feedback. It was
yeah,
just,
I don't know if I thought it through that much.
yeah. But it's sort of like it's interesting because we all know your work on the receiving end through like what becomes like mimetically most visible. And of course,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah,
is like kind of getting around that, the system.
yeah, so I think like one of the things that um, people don't realize when you're not in show business is that people only remember five or six things at most. So even for bands that you like, you were like, oh yeah, there's like eight songs that you, and then they might have made like 400 songs, you know? So I think, yeah, I think I'm like saying this thing that you're saying in a different way, where it's like, yeah, people only remember a few things, but actually it's like much messier and chaotic than that.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, you have like this format of these kinds of ideas that are concise and like they're designed to like be up like to move around in the world. And then some of them are like, on the cover of Art Forum, and some are like, oh, you don't even remember about it yourself, which is,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. But do you think about like, you know, when you're designing the ideas, when you're conceiving of them and developing them, do you want, and then some of them are like really easy to put into practice, and then some are like incredibly laborious, right? Like the
Yeah.
idea is sort of like a unit that has to live in the world, but then to make it possible, you either have to have your studio work for 2 years on something, or you write a few lines of HTML and it's done, right?
Yeah.
It's so interesting that in a way, like seeing it in this format leaves all of that to the side. And are you thinking about like what's going to become most visible? Are you thinking about the mimetic circulation of the works after they're released? Because,
Michael, everybody's saying your sound is so quiet.
oh, I didn't, is it quiet for you?
It's great for me, but
That's
uh,
interesting. Hang on, let me change my audio input.
all right, everybody, we're working on it.
How's this? Is this better?
Thank you for Michael's naturally quieter than Corey.
How is this?
We've got some real talk in the chat now, Michael. Sounds good.
I'm good to
Um,
glad.
so what's the question again?
Are you thinking like, I was asking you were initially thinking that you had done an audience survey, but are you thinking about audience expectations and then the way things circulate on the internet as part of your creative process? Or is it
No.
no?
J- Um,
Like I remember you being on the viral media working group. Remember
yeah,
that?
so definitely 20 years ago, I mean, oh, I was trying to engineer viral things 100% in the '04, '05, even '02. You know, even those early Nintendo things were designed to be, I mean, viral didn't really exist then, but they were designed to be really go down very easy and to spread themselves mimetically. Now I more am just like shrug a bit about it because I think we live in like an algorithmic world now, and I can't, it's not the vibe that I want to participate in, or it's not my vibe, I should say. And so I kind of just uh, like mind my business, and when the work feels done, then I will really like pull up my like cufflinks and think, well, how could what's the best I could do with this? So like if I were to use a music metaphor, like once the record is done, then I will start to think like, how can I communicate this the best? But I don't think so much anymore in the cooking.
It's not about the virality, but I think it is about the distribution for you. Distribution mechanism, because it's like these are art projects, but they're also not entirely only designed to circulate in art, I think. So thinking
Yeah,
about the way
so
that things
so
move in the world becomes relevant.
yeah, so that I do think about. Like how does it look? how does it photograph? Where does it go? Where is its home? Like where is it going to resonate the most? And that is a messy and bespoke process for each work and whatever opportunities I have at the moment,
Yeah.
you know.
Mark says he has an uncouth question.
Let's go.
Do you feel like facing it?
Yeah, let's
Mark, do
go.
you want
I'm
to ask it
here.
on camera?
Hey Corey. Yeah. Um, am I audible?
Yeah.
You're very audible.
Should we stop the
Great.
screen share, Corey? We can
What's
have,
that?
should we stop the screen share or
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't even realize I was still
That
screen sharing.
was really fun, Corey. Thank you so much.
Thanks, no worries.
Um, Also, I bought a Super Mario silkscreen from you way back in
Yeah,
the day. You
yeah,
sold them
yeah.
online for like $50 or $25 each. So
1995.
I'm so glad that I have that. But here's my question. So, I teach in an MFA fine art program now, and a lot of my students are thinking about how they're going to support themselves after they graduate. And maybe you heard about this article that Josh Klein just published in October that's making the rounds called New York Real Estate and the Ruin of American Art. Um, but anyway, he makes the point that, you know, cost of living in New York, but truth is in many cities has gotten so high that artists often, there's this pressure to make work that can sell. So a pressure to paint more than anything else. And maybe you're one of those exceptions to the rule. Um, because what my students always think is you have to paint, you can't do photography, you can't do sculpture, you can't do performance, you can't do installation, you can't do digital, whatever, if you want to make a living. Um, and I was just wondering, so here's the uncouth question. We're not supposed to talk about money, but these days, looking back over the last 5 years, what are the sources of income that you generate from your work? I'm not asking how much, but like, is it commission fees? Is it sales? Is it, fees to do like, what are the different streams of money? And, with all your expenses, with having a studio and a team and all that, are you able to support yourself more or less as an artist, primarily without taking on various kinds of side hustles and day jobs? If you don't mind, it's an uncouth question. We're not supposed to talk about this stuff, but we're old friends, and I figure people might want to know.
Yeah, definitely. Like, well, I'm here at a desk share, like in a little phone booth. So I don't have a studio right now. I don't have a team. I mean, I have a studio manager, but she runs a company that manages studios for artists, so I'm a client of hers. Okay. So my infrastructure is very much of 2026, which is like very little, like cloud infrastructure. And the income comes from public commissions, state support, because I'm a Norwegian resident. Thank you, Norway. Um, Institutional sales, consulting, which is working with like doing consulting gigs with fashion brands or whatever, um, uh, merchandising, editions. So it's like teaching. So it's like I just try to pile up as many different things as I can. And, I am able to make a living, but, to Josh's essay, it's getting harder and harder. It's hard out here, I would say, and the landscape is really changing. And so I don't have any really good or great answers, unfortunately.
That is a great answer. Thank you. I love that answer.
Oh yeah, and actually to conclude with the archangelsurfwear.biz, get on the mailing list. We're doing drops regularly. That money is real money, you know? You
yeah.
know.
Teresa Tomi Faison, did we cover your question in that, or did you want to ask your follow-up? Um, Not to catch you off guard. Maybe we covered that a bit. Oh, staying off mic. Oh yeah, I think we kind of
Okay.
got to that was kind of about sellable work and the different roles of being less commercial. I think we did a bit on that. That was great. Thank you. Let's go with Adrienne Rose. Do you want to ask the question or shall I? You can go for it.
I could go for it. Hi there, everybody. Hi, Cory. So you said you were talking about what wasn't your vibe before. So what is your vibe? That's one question. And then as tech keeps outpacing itself, updates, upgrades, obsolescence, all of that, even in dealing with that with the Amiga project, as well too. How do you ride that wave in your practice? And do you ever mourn a dead program or format?
Yeah, so I think I can answer all three questions with the same answer. So, at the moment, my it wasn't in this lecture because I it's not on my website yet, but I've been doing a lot of different projects working with carillons, which are like basically towers of pitched bells, which could be either played by hand, like in a kind of control room, or in some towers, they're like mechanically uh, played. And so I've been working with this bell foundry outside of Oslo called Olsen. And so like my mind is these days like really filled with bells technology, tuning, and that's my vibe right now. So I'm going deep into the world of this technology, carillons, which is it it depends like when you want to start, but 1,000 years old, or in Europe, from the 1500s. And um uh so in the story I could tell about that, which is, I was at the foundry and there's a part of the foundry where they repair, bells come in for repair. And I asked the guy, I said, so like how busy are you with like repairing bells? And he's like, well, you know, the typical church bell lasts a millennium before it needs to be repaired. And I was like, okay. Like, uh, so, um, so I think like that maybe is like a little bit, this idea of obsolescence is like I'm reconsidering it with regards to these bells, because it's like people would consider it obsolete, but it's kind of not obsolete. It just has this different history off to the side that's outside of the mainstream. And same, I would say, with pipe organs. I've done a lot of work with pipe organs lately. So I think that's kind of like where my head is at, and energies, and so it's all those things kind of combined: technology, computers, obsolescence. And I like thinking now over like 1,000 year span, which is a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, being a computer person, where you think only in 2 or 3 or 6 or 7 year spans.
Any predictions on what that would look like in your mind, at least?
What?
The future of computers and in your world.
Oh, well, I am afraid I cannot help you with that. It is like so random out there right now. Like I don't even, yeah, I'm totally lost.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Got
Thanks.
some Caroline information in the chat. I love it.
Nice. We got some carry on heads.
Caroline,
Should we
yeah.
have Marcus then Patrick?
Yeah, cool. I'll try to summarize the thing. Corey, I just want to say thank you for doing this. In my mind, you are a living legend, and I uh I hope you continue to get all the support you ever need to put out as much work as you possibly can. You have such a huge corpus of work. It's like it's impressive, and so the way that you presented it was like of interest. I think this like smashing a random button is a cool performance. Um, and I guess the question that I had is that it seems to kind of get you out of something, which is hey, come in front of these people and explain your work. So you get to sort of like walk us through a random sampling of stuff. And I noticed the way that you go about explaining it is you're very like material. Like, this was the sort of setup. This is kind of descriptively what's happening. But you seem to be kind of like resisting interpretation. And I'm just curious what your relationship is where someone wants to pin you down and ask you to interpret stuff or ask you to go into a critical mode about your own work.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for your kind words. And I would like to preface it with like, I, I think if you're just around enough years, people call you legend. And I just want to say like, it's not a hierarchy. It's just if you made it like 20 years. And so for it, anybody who's made it this long, I think should be called that, So thank you. Because it's a grind. But anyway, so in terms of interpretation, I mean, uh, like when I decide a work is done and I shovel it into the world, I what I have is a feeling, I know that it feels right. Like I know that it's cool, and I know that it just like I'm like, okay, it's cool, right? And it feels right. But I might not necessarily know how to take that feeling and put it into like critical thinking, right? Because it's not that intuition drives the work completely, but it does most of the driving, where the critical thinking could come in every once in a while and really help with decisions. But it's not up to me really what the work does, and it's also a bit of a discovery for me what the work does once it becomes public. And after years, I could usually start to get a pretty good idea of what I could triangulate what the work is doing after hearing feedback and seeing what people think. So I'm not against interpretation, but it's a little bit, me and the audience, we're not so far apart really on understanding the work, basically when it first unveils. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, and that's a pull quote. Me and the audience are not so far away from the works. Very interesting, very very interesting thought. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice. And maybe that relates a bit to Patrick's question.
Well, I think, anyway, good to see you, Corey.
Hey, Patrick.
It's been a while. I wish I would have
There's
seen
a
you over
legend.
I wish I would have seen you over in Sharjah, and when you did the
Yeah.
stuff for that, and when I was over there. Now I'm in Minnesota, but we met first around Mark Tribe in New York, and then we bounced around a lot. But this kind of goes with this whole thing. It's like, you know, those of us have been around, like, a number of us out here. I think it's really interesting that, we keep going through the grind, as you're saying, we keep surviving, that sort of thing. And I think what's interesting is that I see certain people resonate with certain work at certain times, that sort of thing. But I'm still kind of surprised that, people still resonate with, even some of the older work. And I'm just kind of wondering what your, of course, cats. And but that's my vibe. But anyway, I guess what happens is that what happens with the OG work to the newer generations? Because, like, I mean, I see Era Robbins Cohen here, and she's doing some new projects and things like that. And I think it's really interesting how things resonate. And I'll just say one thing. The only thing that I think I can say is that it seems like when you're saying intuition, it seems like there was a moment when something made sense, when, you're with the audience and
Yeah.
something made sense, and that still has a resonance. Does that make any sense to you? How does the OG works, resonate
Yeah,
with,
so it's
with
a great, so I think what you're bringing up is like audience's understanding of the work over time. And I
Yeah.
think what they're saying is like when I made it, I feel like, yeah, it's resonating right now. And often I'm like, it's resonating, you know, might resonate within whatever scene I'm in at the time, whether it was like the net art scene or experimental music, experimental composition, experimental film. Like there's a group of people that that were like all kind of watching each other, or it could be all these different things that it's resonating with.
Yeah, for sure.
And then yeah, like 20 years later, all those communities, like there's just different things happening now. I think the second one is a little bit more of a mystery to me, right? And
Hmm.
it's a little bit more of like, oh, the wind is blowing this works way again. Who would have thought? So it's much more of a mystery to me and much farther out of my hands that it's like when you see rock like older rock people and they're like I can't believe like there's young people at my shows again. It's like the same kind of bewilderment.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I was a creative arts learning mentor with foundation students a couple of years ago after the pandemic. And one of my students came to me and showed me like your really old Super Mario Clouds work. And it was just so nice that she'd found it herself and she was really enthusiastic about that particular work. So it was just, yeah, it was really good. It's good to see that.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's nice to hear. And that piece in particular has like a resonance, which, I mean, my best take on that is I mean, Michael, you mentioned it's about human and digital. It's like, it's such, it's such an elemental and very simple piece about this mess that we got ourselves into. And I think that's maybe why it still resonates. And it's kind of cute and it doesn't come off as being so melancholic as maybe some of my other work, you know?
That was the relates to someone had a question. I think Danielle. Do you want to ask your question, Danielle? Shall I ask? Which I think I will probably have a better answer to it than Corey. Um,
Sure, go for it.
oh, you want me to? Okay. Well,
Or I
go ahead and ask.
Sure. Okay, so long story short, I did a research presentation on your work and included the net art survey as kind of like a reference. This was in like 2019 pre-pandemic in Seattle. And one issue that I found with like my research, and it's not that any of the sources were like wrong or hard, it was just a lot of information to digest. And I'm wondering, in terms of like sort of like the way you find your context, are there any preferences for like historiography or methodology that you found in like both of your research, both Michael and Corey? Thank you.
How would you situate your work art historically, Corey?
Didn't you just say that you had a better answer than me?
Well, it's a competition now, I guess. So maybe we can have a competition. No, I can, well, yeah, I do have like my way of answering this, but I am curious if you do like have a preference. Um, and my answer is a bit of a joke, actually.
How do I situate it or historically? No, I mean, I think I have like an evil side of me that wants to be situated or historically. Like, I want to be in the mix, like in like the contemporary art history, whatever, blah blah blah. Like I have, but at the same time, the work kind of is the beguile the word. Like the work kind of doesn't um the work doesn't
It doesn't resolve easily.
yeah, it doesn't resolve easily in that desire. Exactly. It's too chaotic and too funny and like I can't control it.
Yeah. I mean, the kind of jokey answer I was going to offer was that, you and I, Corey, are we post net art or are we proto post internet?
The great
Because
because we're the generation right in between the 90s, like the people who really started it, some which are here.
mhm.
And and yeah, the kind of Berlin-ish generation after, right? And we were like in the kind of desert in between
Yeah,
when it was like really there was like nobody being onboarded. It was like really, really crickets for like,
yeah.
I don't know, 4 years, 5 years maybe.
But I mean, Tomi says just net art, but I think that it's like their net art. I try to like advocate for the idea of it being like like a generation spanning theme, but of course it also existed as a moment and a movement.
Yeah.
And Mark was kind of associated with that moment and movement. And so when we were around, like coming up, they were like, everyone was like, "Oh, you guys missed it. It's too bad, like party's over, shut it
Yeah.
down." So it definitely was like I definitely was very conscious of it being like, oh, there's like a need to like articulate some other stakes or frame here a little. And then like right after us, 2008, you started to see like the people that were really dealing with networks and
Yeah.
social media and the saturation of that. It was kind of I feel kind of lucky to be in the like Jason Musa paper ad,
Yeah.
along with Lauren Cornell. Like we had like a really interesting kind of conversation.
Yeah, and it's still like really caked into my I like fun foundation as being an artist where if people are really interested in something, I immediately am like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Like in my foundation, because of those years, I feel most comfortable working in places that there aren't that many people, right? And it might be why I'm like doing stuff with bells, because I'm like, okay, it's me and a couple other people. So I th those years like are really are foundational for me of that
Yeah,
feeling.
totally. Post.com crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like something else. But people were really like, the internet's over now. What are you still doing that for? It's so
Yeah.
funny. We're about out of time. Um, and we have so many questions still popping up around
17
that.
new messages. Oh
Do
my
you want to
God.
do you want to leave us with a call to action, Corey? Do you have any shows up or things archangelsurfwear.biz?
I'm working on a couple drops coming up.
All right.
Um, so keep an eye out. Do I have, yeah, let me look at my website. Actually, I just updated my website the other day. So what do I have coming up? This talk, a couple performances, music performances, in Norway. The Majerus project is showing at the National Asian Cultural Center in Gwangju coming up. So those are like the most, and then the Majerus project we did together is still on YouTube. So I would highly recommend checking out all five of those episodes.
Trans DJ set at Nowadays this summer, we're being asked. All right.
There.
You've been asked for a trance DJ set at
Right, right. Okay, perhaps. I
and
do have
next
a
week on
little.
Artwrld season 3, we have Petra Courtwright rescheduled from last week due to my total malfunction as an internet administrator. Come back,
Yeah.
come back soon. And thank you so much, Corey. That was really wonderful.
Thanks,
So thank you
everybody.
all.
Thanks, Michael.
Have a
See you
great
all.
weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye.